Okay, enough wittering, enough from me. Let's jump into things. So I'm first of all pleased to welcome you all. Thank you for attending. We've got about 68 of you on here, which is great guns. Which gives me a good sense that you all think Touch Day is useful, but you maybe are a bit unsure and want to hear a bit more about it. So that essentially is the goal of this webinar. We are going to hopefully get across to you what Touch Day is, how it works, what your guest sees, whether it's easy to not or whether you need a degree in technology to, you don't need a degree in technology, it's easy. Um, and some of the benefits of it, beyond just replacing your printed binder with a digital version, what are the other benefits that you would get from that? So that's the goal of this. And I want you all, if you're not getting that from the call, I want you all to tell me in the Q&A. There's nothing worse than sitting on a webinar where you don't get what you expected. So please hold us to account. Hold us to account. That's a nice segue to introduce Jo. I think many of you know Jo from the Oaks Country Estate. Um, uh, she's a Sykes owner. I think you're a different level of Sykes owner though, Jo, aren't you? You're some kind of like, I don't want to say premium level, but tell us a little bit about you and your Sykes journey.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. We are classed as a premium account, and that is because we have 10 properties with Sykes. So the Oaks Country Estate is in Bowness on Windermere, or just outside for those of you who don't know us. And we have 10 properties varying in size from a 1 bedroom up to a 12 bedroom property on the estate. So yeah, do you want me to tell you a little bit about my guest experience with? Do you want me to start on that, Andy? So say
That
kind of
that would be wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just back up a little bit and just
Okay.
for anyone that doesn't know what Touch Day is, hopefully you're here because you do know what it is. But if you're here also because you're not sure or you want to know a bit more, very simply, it's a replacement of the paper binder that you might have in the home. You know, the one that you print out and your guests get to read about the home and how things work, but also the surrounding area and things to see and do. I don't want to be dismissive of those because some people really like using them, and I do think they have a place. But by and large, my experience has been that they are not as good as a digital version, and that's the reason why we started Touch Day. I'm a guest. I don't own, manage, or host properties. I am a guest. So we built it from the guest perspective first. Most importantly, because I used to turn up with my kids and I'd have a zillion questions, and it used to really annoy the host. I'm sure it did, but I had to ask those questions. What do I pack? Where do I go? Where do I pick up the key? I've got kids. What should we do? You know, all those kind of things. And it seemed a shame that I had to wait till I got to the home to see that. It was also a big shame when I got to the home and not all of it was there because the previous guest had spilled copy on it or had taken page 6 and walked off with it. So that's really what Touch Day is. It's a digital way for you to replace that binder. PDF is still there. So you can still generate a PDF from TouchDay. You don't have to only use digital. You can generate a PDF, as can your guests. But the questions around those things about what TouchDay can do, etc., hopefully some of that will come through as Jo talks about how she's used TouchDay. But if it doesn't, or indeed I don't answer that question, you've got the Q&A and we will address questions at the end. So with that, Jo, yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you use TouchDay and what it's brought for you?
Okay. I think we started out like everybody with that paper document, that PDF, which was printed out into all the properties. And at the time worked great. And I think really for us, the turning point was then during COVID, where it was like, oh, we don't want anything in the properties for people to be able to touch because it's another thing that we have to wipe, it's another thing that we have to be able to clean. So we took them out of the properties at that stage and we just then started emailing the PDF to guests 2 weeks before their arrival, which then as all the restrictions lifted and everything, we carried on doing that because we were getting such a great response to people. And we actually have a call out number on site here. So when guests are staying with us, they can call us if there's a problem with the heating, or so we've always got somebody on call at the end of that phone. And we found that after sending out the guest information 2 weeks in advance via email, we were getting less and less calls about where do we do the what do we do with the rubbish, what do we because people were getting that time to absorb the information before they arrived, we weren't getting questioned as people arrived, and people knew and they could get into the properties and get on. And then I was introduced to Touch Stay through Sykes, and they set it all up, put my PDF into the Touch Stay to show me what it would look like. And then we've been able to develop that further from there, and most importantly, update it so regularly. I mean, I've just been doing some updates this morning, and I know that it's live there straight away for all my guests. So, you know, if the internet is down or anything like that happens at last minute, we can just put it into Touch Stay, and those guests have already got it. So, and that includes the guests who are currently staying, the guests who are due to come and stay with us. We're just being able to reach so many more guests with it. But as Andy says, there is still room for that paper copy. We still have the PDF printed out. But again, if we make any major updates on Touch Stay, we can download that straight from Touch Stay, print it out, stick it in the property. It's just so much easier, because it's just really easy to do all documents at once. And as you can imagine, with having 10 properties, the fact that I don't have to go into each individual document and I can just do it all in one fell swoop is and has been a game changer. So yeah, that's kind of where we've kind of got to so far.
Fantastic, Jo, thank you. We're going to touch on some of that in a minute, because I'm going to actually share my screen and I'm going to show you through Jo's guide, so you can all get a sense of what hers looks like and what sort of things she puts in there. Before I do that, a few questions have come in. So the first one is, will we have this presentation available afterwards? Now, I haven't been recording it, but I'm going to press the record button now, because maybe Sykes will want to use it afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Actually, no, it does say it is recording. So we're good. So yes, we will share that with Sykes afterwards. Whether or not they distribute it or not, I don't know. But we're certainly recording it. Okay, Nick has asked, they're a new owner and they haven't heard of Touch Stay. How do you get it and do you have to pay? So Nick and actually Colin has asked afterwards, is Touch Stay free? I'm afraid not, Colin. We have to make money, and our model is that we charge you, the owners, a subscription fee, either monthly or annually, to use the product. If you have one property, it is about £9.50 plus VAT a month. Or if you pay annually in advance, it's £76 plus VAT. If you have multiple properties, that price does tier down quite quickly. So the second one is half the price. The third, fourth, and fifth are the same price as that second one too. So it's not 76 per property. It's just the first property plus VAT. And how do you get it, Nick? You go to our website, touchstay.com. There's a free trial button. You have 14 days in which you can try it for free. There's no features that we hide, so you have everything. Equally, when you go to pay for it, if you like it, we don't ask you to then pay for other things like that suddenly we hit you with. It's one single fee, the one I mentioned. During that 14-day free trial, play around with it, whatever you want. If after that 14 days you do like it, the work that you've already done will be there for you. And I know some people don't like trying unless they can see the product, but that's what I'm going to show you now. So we're going to actually show you a bit of the product so you can get a sense of what it might take. With that, I am going to attempt to do something slightly technological. Let's see if this works. I'm going to attempt to cast my phone to the screen. And I've done this many times and it has generally worked. But if it doesn't for whatever reason, I will end up doing something else. So let's have a look. Let's see what we've got. Give me 1 second. Jo, perhaps while I'm doing this, could you give everyone just a sense of how easy you found it is to use Touch Stay? Like, as somebody, do you need like great technical skills, or how have you found it?
Extremely easy, and I I've actually been setting up a booking system during the same time, and to then do touch stay after following that booking system being set up. That touch stay was quite simply a walk in the park. Everything is really self-explanatory. The tutorials are amazing if you need them. It yeah, it kind of yeah, it's just really easy. It's just like literally in the click of a button, type in what you want to add into it, save it, and it's automatically live. If you've got documents in a Word document, you can copy and paste things across. You can bring across photos from that you might have saved on your computer, or a photo that you can take on your phone. You can send it straight across to the guide. One of my most favorite features, actually, one thing that was really easy, was introduced to me by Diana, was we were saying, oh, there's all like the attractions and everything. You can literally just put in the pin for the attraction, and then it shows it up on the map. It brings it up from the web. You don't have to give all the information about the local attraction. It pinpoints it onto the map. So yeah, there's some really, really easy features. Obviously, having 10 properties, you've got your main content hub that goes to everybody, and then you can personalize that. So for example, your key codes or your internet passwords and things that might vary between the properties, you can just then go into that individual guide, go into Wi-Fi and just change it, and it will change it just for that guide and make it as a custom text just for that guide. So yeah, no, you definitely don't need any degrees, any IT. It has been one of the most straightforward things. And yeah, as sad as it is, I was saying to one of my friends, I was doing some updates last week, and I was like, it's actually quite addictive. I actually like really enjoy going around and moving things around as well. And you can reorder your guide so easily, and pinpoint information differently. Like somebody who said, oh, well, where is this hot tub information? I've now made it a key area on my guide, so that is visible straight away. So yeah.
Great. All right. Thank you, Joe. It's actually one of the things I hear quite often, that people say it's slightly addictive because it's so easy to make changes whenever you want. I have not been able to do the technical wizardry with my phone, so instead I'm going to share my screen the normal way. So hopefully, Joe, give me the thumbs up. Do you see your guide on the page?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So what I wanted to do was to show you all how it looked on a phone, but I couldn't cast my phone to the screen for some unknown technical difficulty. But what I can do is do the next best thing, which is to show you here on the screen how it looks. My point is, however, that most of the guests will access it on their phone. 80% of plus of our guests are using their phone to access the guide, and that just makes sense because it's supposed to be a digital guide that they access on the move. But as you can see here, I'm showing Joe's guide on my desktop. So it indeed does work on the desktop, as it would do on a tablet as well. How do the guests get this? So very simply, you send them the link. This is Joe's link at the top left here. That link, you just paste it into any communications which you send to your guests. I don't know quite how you're all communicating after you've got a booking through Sykes, but I would imagine many of you are communicating directly with the guest and you're sending emails before they arrive to tell them what to do. You can go ahead and share that link. You can also use TouchDay's system to automate some of this stuff. I don't intend to get into that now, but I want you to be aware that we have a system called Memo, which allows you to automate any number of emails and texts to your guest before, during, and after they've left. And that enables you then to put things a little bit more on autopilot. But however you send it, be it you send it via your existing communications or you use TouchDay, your guest will get a link like the one at the top here. They'll click on it, it will open up on the page like this. You have your logo at the top. If you don't have a logo, don't worry, you don't need to put a logo. You can put a picture of yourself up there. You can put nothing if you didn't want to. This area here, you can put whatever you want. Then you have your phone number, your email, and your WhatsApp. You can put all three of those, two of those, one of those, or none of those. You don't have to. That's just so your guest can easily contact you. So the idea is put here how you would prefer your guest to contact you. Then here's the place that I'm staying at as the guest, the Oaks Country House, and here's the address. And note that the address is a little clickable link. So if I click on that, it takes me onto the map. It drops a pin where I'm staying. So I know that that's where Joe's house is, or this cottage anyway that I'm staying at. I can click Get Directions. It does nothing more than opens up Google Maps, asks me to put my starting point in, and then it gives me directions. So nothing more fancy than Google Maps. That's all it is. If I X out here, you'll see a number of pins on the screen. And if I zoom out or zoom in, I can see more or fewer pins. These are not pins that we put on the map for you. These are pins that you decide whether you want to put on the map. Any guest can go to Google or to TripAdvisor and search for stuff. The point of Touch Day is you're shortcutting that and you're telling them what are the best things to see and do in the local area, and you would pin them on the map. Pinning them on the map's dead easy. There's a search bar, a Google search bar inside the platform. So if you're thinking about adding a restaurant here to the map, you go to the search bar inside Touch Day, you type in the name of the restaurant, it finds it, you click add, it puts a pin on the map for you, and it also puts the listing inside Touch Day. So if I was to click on one of these and click read more, it takes me to the guide where the boathouse is listed, and there's even some extra information here about the phone number, the reviews, the hours of opening, which dynamically change. When I say dynamically changes, if the business owner updates this on Google, it automatically updates here inside Touch Day. There's also a website link, so that enables your guest to then go out to that restaurant's website, look at the menu, book a table, etc. So that's how the map works. When you've got a lot of pins on here, which Jo has now that she's recommended, see if I can zoom out even further, there's quite a few, your guest can tap here to filter the map by the different types. So if I only wanted to see restaurants, then I would just click restaurants, and now, oh, my map's also giving me places to eat, which is helpful. So now I don't see everything else on the page. So that's the map. So you can add as much or a few things as you would like. Let's go back to the home page now. So that's what happens when I click the address bar. Other things here, the color scheme. So this sort of lime green color and the gray in the background, that's what Jo has chosen. Those are her colors. You will be able to choose whatever colors you want. The background photo here, that's up to you. You can put a picture of the inside, picture of the outside, whatever you want. It's not video, it's an image. And then when I click on info as a guest, here's where I get all the information. Let me collapse all this because this is defaulted to where I started, where I was on the map just now. So you'll get something like this, a standard set of table of contents. When I said earlier, go to touchday.com and sign up for a free trial, that process of signing up for a free trial will give you a template straight away. It's about 10 to 12 headings that we know pretty much everybody will want, such as welcome, arrival information, property information, Wi-Fi, all of that stuff. That will be on there already. Your job is only to populate them. But if you decide that you want to add a bunch of other headings that we haven't included in our starter template, you can do that. There's no limits. Equally, if you dislike anything that's in our starter template, you can remove it. So for example, booking extras is something Jo's added. That's not in our template. So she just went and added that. Something like guide user tips. Interestingly, that's not in our thing, but you can go ahead and tell your guests how to use the guide. So that's the process of adding headings here. Then the guest simply interacts with the heading. So if they want to know what happens when I arrive, they click here. They have a bunch of information here. So check-in time, access codes, parking, and they can just open up these and to see the information they want. And then the information you see inside here is very much up to you. So you can put a picture, you can put a video. So some people have automated locks on the door with a keypad, and maybe they want to show the guest how to use it. You can put a video in there. You can have written instructions underneath. As you can see, you can also emphasize things. So we know how guests are. I tend to be that guest who walks out of my door when I leave for vacation and my brain goes to mush. So being able to highlight things for me like this, bold or extra emphasis, you can do that. You can italic things. You can do the simple things like putting the Wi-Fi information. So this is how you connect to the Wi-Fi at Jo's place. Hot tub, you mentioned that earlier, Jo. I see you've got a list of things here. You can also add a video on how to use the hot tub. Disclaimers, I think this is really important. So if you do have certain things that you want guests to know about, you can put those in here to make sure that they are using the hot tub appropriately, etc. You've got things like the local weather. We have a weather widget that you can add in here, which is powered by AccuWeather down the right-hand side here. That enables the weather to be updated real time. So you get both an hourly forecast, but you also get a 5-day forecast here along with the current conditions. And your guests, by the way, should they be coming from the States, for example, they can change it to Fahrenheit, change it miles per hour, kilometers per hour. So all of that can change. Joe, is there anything in your guide that you'd particularly like me to highlight that you've done that you think is pretty nifty?
Yeah, I don't know if you can go to a different one though very easily. If you could go to Hazel Cottage, I can show you some stuff that I've embedded in there recently. You just mentioned about the hot tub there, and one of our things has been with the hot tubs that we have wanted people to sign the disclaimer to say that they've read it and understood the terms and conditions. And to also, the other thing that we needed for health and safety purposes, particularly for the big property, the 12-bedroom, is we need a list of all the people who are staying in there for our risk assessment. So we've embedded into Hazel's guide so far, but kind of working on them at the moment this week, is a check-in form. And on that check-in form, I've been able to, yeah, so there we go. So on that check-in form, I've been able to put in it the hot tub disclaimer and the information. So that guests have to click the box to say that they've read the disclaimer, and they've had that information, and there you go. You can see that they are asked there to complete all the guest names. You do have to do all the ones with the red star, unfortunately, Andy, to move on to the next page. But on the next page of that form, you do get the hot tub disclaimer bit, and then it also has got a page for the bed configuration. So some of our beds can be split into twins. Trying to get that information from guests sometimes is left really until the last minute. So we're going to be trying to put it into the guest book using this form so that when they are sent this a few weeks before arrival, they can put in their bed configurations, how they want the bed set up. Now, this is using an integration called Jotform, which was again something that was introduced to myself by the guys at Touchday. So if you click on terms and conditions as well, that will bring up our disclaimer. That brings up the document there that people have got to be able to read, to sign, to say that they've read it. Yeah, Jotform was something that was introduced to me. There are obviously loads of other online forms that you can use, but I went and had a play around with Jotform, and the reason that I chose that, because it is just, again, so easy and so user-friendly. And then the integration into Touchday, it literally took me 2 minutes once I've made my form in Jotform to then integrate it into my form. I mean, this morning when we touched base, Andy, that form wasn't in there, and 20 minutes later it was. So yeah, just really easy, but really useful. That form gets emailed back directly to us. So once the guest has filled it in, that comes straight to us. So it's just another way of getting additional information from guests. And again, it's on their phones, it's on their device, which it's a lot easier for people.
Joe, if I may just interrupt there, yeah, I really love that idea, and I can't remember whether you said it because I was busy filling in the form, but Jotform does have a free tier, so you can create up to 5 forms for free, and I think it might be at least 100 submissions, might even be more than that per month free. So you're not having to pay anything extra for this if you've got like a small business. And as Joe said, once you've created your jot form, and when I talk about creating a jot form, it's very easy. We had the decision whether we wanted to build a form functionality in TouchStay or whether we wanted to enable other third-party forms that already exist, Google Form, Jot Form, etc., to simply be embedded here in TouchStay without you needing to do anything other than share the form link. We decided we would go with the option where we don't build our own. We allow you to use Jotform, Google Form, those third-party form services to create your own form because they're brilliant at it. They're very easy to use. As Joe just said, it was very quick for her to do this one. Once you've got the link to the form, you just place it in TouchStay and it puts the form directly in here for your guest to use. So your guests don't have to go anywhere else. So that's one thing I wanted to say. I just want to have a quick look at the Q&A because we've got 6 questions that have come in. So before we go any further, first one is, do Sykes state on their site that we have TouchStay? I don't believe they do, no. We are doing a few more marketing actions with Sykes to make it more aware to you all. So no, they don't currently. Deborah has asked, do photos have to be a particular number of pixels? For the Sykes website, my phone photos were refused because they're not high enough quality. So for that cover photo, which if I go back here, this main photo here, that does have to be at least 1920 pixels wide by 1080 tall, which by most modern picture sizes, that's fairly normal. The reason why we want that to be a certain size is because it's a big photo and it needs to have a good, decent quality. For the rest of the photos inside TouchStay, it's pretty small. I think it's about 530 odd pixels wide. It's a small photo, so you should be good. And we do accept landscape and portrait photos in there too. Only JPEG and PNG, so we don't currently support any of the other file formats, which we are looking at. Will Sykes allow the link to be added to their bookings, as sometimes guests don't allow comms? Joe, do you know the answer to that?
I don't know whether Sykes will put it into their like booking confirmation that they send out, but what we do at the moment is when you go onto Sykes portal and they give you the contact email address through the portal, we use that email address to then send the guest information out to all guests, and Sykes know that I do that, and that we do send communication using that email. So for the purposes of using that email to send them information about their booking, that is allowed. And then you will see on that check-in form that was in our TouchStay that we've then got a question about if guests want to stay in touch and want to hear about our newsletters or special offers. So that's covering us for all the other GDPR stuff, that if we were to contact guests about anything else apart from their direct booking that they've already made with Sykes.
Good call. Good. Yeah, good point, Joe. Okay. Ella has asked, can anyone access my TouchStay account? I wouldn't want my keybox code to be accessible to everyone. So here's where you have a couple of things, a couple of ways you can do this. 2 choices essentially. Let me boil it down to 2. One is you can not put your code inside the TouchStay guide and simply say to the guest in TouchStay how they access the home, and then tell them you will send their code separately via a text or via an email. So they're not in the guide, it's separate. The second option is that you will use our system called Memo, which I referred to earlier, to send the link to each of your guests. Why would you do that? Because when you use that system, that link is unique to that guest. So when that guest checks out, that link is no longer active. Unless you want it to be, you can still have it active. So in your case, Ella, if you were worried about if you wanted to put your keybox code inside the guide, but you were worried that they would share it to other people, then create a link just for them, and then it expires after their stay. Now, should your guest Ella decide to go and post their guide on Facebook and say, look at this wonderful thing I've just got from, unfortunately, yes, people would be able to access that. So if you've got deep concerns about it, I would always suggest that you use TouchStay to tell the guests how to get into the home and how it works, but keep the actual code in an email separate to that. Joe, what do you do?
Well, we leave ours, our key codes are in the guide, which obviously then gets emailed out to guests. And to be honest, we've not had any issues ever with people people coming back and trying to use that code again. But what I would say is you could change your code in TouchStay weekly, and so you can constantly update it anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't know about the memo. If you sent it out in your memo that link expired, but that's obviously really useful. It could be useful to us, but no, we just send ours out.
Cool. All right, Joe,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
makes sense. The one added benefit of the memo, by the way, is that you can hide certain information until a certain time before arrival. So, for example, the codes you could have in your guide and then make it hidden until a time you determine, so 24 hours prior, you could say, now I want the lock codes to be revealed, and they would be revealed. So that's a way you could get around some of that security concern too. The other thing I would say is if you're sending a PDF and it's got the information in there, it's no different. That PDF can be shared to anybody. So sometimes I think, you know, that we need to like balance it a little bit, because that is the reality. They do have that information today if you're sending it to them. Okay, Jean, could other people, i.e. not guests, access the info and obtain the info back key? Okay, we've just said that. Excellent. Rian says, how do you make sure the guests return the disclaimer form? So you can't, there's no way of forcing them to do that. They would have to do it of their own volition, but you could. This is where I strongly advocate not just encouraging them to sign the disclaimer, but anything else that you think is really important, that this is where the communication part of this comes in. There's no good having this guide and then you don't do anything with it. Part of the magic here is that you then have to communicate this to guests. So if there's something really important, my advice is always to have another email or another message that goes to your guest that's more specific on the thing you want them to do at the right time during their stay. So, you know, maybe the disclaimer you want them to do as soon as they've booked because it's on their mind. So therefore, I would send a separate message after they booked to say, thanks, Joe, for booking. We need you to sign the disclaimer. Here's a link to it. And you can link directly to that section in order for them to do it. That's the way I would approach that. There's no other way that you can kind of force it. So we don't gate TouchStay so they can't proceed without signing the disclaimer. We don't do that because we want the guest to use this product. And Tony says, can access to my TouchStay form be restricted to prospective guests only? I may not want to publish the internet password for general access. So I think that's where we covered it really on the key code side of things as well. You can have the link expire or indeed hide some information until a certain time prior to arrival. Tony, if I misunderstood that, feel free to post the message again and I will come back to it in a bit. Okay, so with that, what I want to do, unless there's anything else that you particularly wanted me to cover, Joe, I'm going to just jump into your account and show people how easy it is to use.
Yep, that's fine.
All righty, good. So this is Joe's account. So Joe has 10 guides. See it listed up the top here. For many of you, I know you'll just have one, and therefore you'll just have the one guide up here. But if you have more than one guide, they list down the page. I could dwell on this part. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. The one thing I do want to show you is the views. So you can see how many people are interacting with your guide here. We also have this thing called data dashboard here at the top. And this will give you some data on what people are doing. So at the moment, I've selected all guides in Joe's account for the last 4 weeks, and it's telling me how many views she's had by week. This is really good for you to know, are guests actually using this? In addition, you get to see what they're clicking on. So if something is really important and you find they're not clicking on it, then you'll see it languishing down here. So you see a number of clicks here, you'll see it languishing down here. That's brilliant because it allows you to go, that's really important. They're not clicking on it. I'm going to move it to a different part of the guide. I'm going to move it higher up, for example. So that's where this information is really, really useful. You'll also have some benchmarks as how you're doing versus the rest of the TouchStay audience, TouchStay customers. So at the moment, Joe hasn't turned on what we call first impressions or what we call I love this guide. But if you were to do that, you would be able to see how you compare. So I love this guide essentially asks the guest a random moment with a pop-up whether they're loving the guide or not. Some people turn it off because they don't want the guest to be interrupted, but the average is 93% of TouchStay customers are going, yes, we love this guide. So if you turn that on and you saw yours was like 73% or something, you could then, you know, ask our TouchStay Rockstars group, our Facebook group, like, what am I doing? Please have a look at my guide. Give me some tips on how I can improve it. First impressions is a little widget that we can put inside the guide, well, you can put inside the guide, that asks your guest to give their first impressions when they first arrive. You know, that all-important first impression that can make or break a stay. Again, the touch day average is 4.3 out of 5. If yours was here and it was 5, you were doing really well. But if it was 3, you'd know you need to improve something. So there's a little bit about data. What I want to jump into, though, is what we call Content Hub here. And Content Hub is where you manage all of that information that's in the guide. And what you see on the page here is the order in which you see things on the guide. So if I may go back to Joe's guide very quickly, you can see she has welcome, booking extras, before arrival, etc. That's exactly the order you see things here: welcome, booking extras, before arrival. One thing I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to move the before arrival section to the top. So it's now moved to the top. Joe, I'll move this back afterwards. And I'll go ahead and refresh the page. And you'll notice when I refresh the page, before arrival is now at the top. So that's what happens. Anytime you make a change inside Touch, they will automatically update. So what we'll do is we'll move before arrival back down here, so it's back in the right spot. And if I went ahead and refreshed my page, before arrival is now back in its rightful place. So that's the first thing to say. You can just drag your mouse and drop things wherever you want, and it will move content around. So that's dead easy. Now, how do you actually control the information that's in my welcome here? So where Joe's, let's go to welcome here, where she's got all this information here under welcome. She's got it under something called Welcome to the Oaks Country House. If I go and tap the bar here, it gives me welcome to, and this is this is what we call a field code. Don't get scared by this. This is just it's a little code that will dynamically replace the relevant guide name. So where Joe's got 10 guides, she's not having to write welcome to, Hazel Cottage and then welcome to Oaks. She's not having to write that 10 times. She's just writing it once, and we miraculously will replace this with the actual guide name. So welcome to, you can see here, has been replaced with the Oaks Country House, because this is called the Oaks Country House. So it's taken that name and it's replaced it there. Then the information here on the right-hand side, all of that text, I just click on this, and here's all the text in this section here. If I click on it, I now get a text box, and this is the information that Joe's added. Joe asked me earlier how we can make this text box bigger. There's a little thing here which you can drag down with your mouse to make it much bigger. So here's all the information Joe has written, and it's dead easy. It's just like using a Word doc. You've got loads of formatting options up here, and then you just type away. So if I was to, at the end of luxury stay here, just wrote some nonsense like this, I will delete this afterwards, Joe, and hit save down here at the bottom, and then go ahead and refresh, then you'll see the gobbledygook has been added here. So again, whatever you change, it immediately updates inside the guide. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that for you, Joe. You will also be able, anywhere you want, let's just go and save that before I show you next. By the way, this message that keeps popping up is just basically saying if you've got more than one guide, which Joe has, that you're about to change something that's going to affect every guide. Joe, you could always click the box here to say don't show it. Indeed, I could, but that's why that's there. In here, I can also add as many photos or videos as I want. So if I wanted to put a photo in this spot here, I click on my little image icon here, choose an image from my hard drive, or indeed one I've already got in my account here. So if I should choose this one and hit submit, that drops that image in there. You can also add the image in different sizes. So let's go back and do that again. If I wanted that bike photo in there, but I didn't want it to be the full width of the screen, I've got this little box here, which allows me to choose whether I want it to be medium, small, or icon. So if I chose medium and then hit save button, you see now that's the smaller version. So you've got those options. You can also add video. So if I wanted to put a video in this spot, same button, but now I go to this one here, photo video from a URL, and I put the URL of the video. So now the videos have to be on one of YouTube, Vimeo, or Wistia. So you can't upload a raw video into TouchStay, but you have to put it on one of those 3 platforms. If that scares the you-know-what out of you because you're worried about it being difficult, it's not. You just upload a video to YouTube. If you're scared about it being publicly available, you can make it unlisted. So when you make a video unlisted, it can't be publicly searchable, but it can still be put inside the guide here. Cancel that. Let's cancel that. We don't want to save any of that stuff. One nice thing here for those of you who do have multiple guides, when you enter this information, you only want to enter it once if it's the same for your other properties. The last thing in the world you want to do is to add the same information 3 times because you've got 3 properties. If you want it to be identical, we have this button here called All Guides. And that allows you, when that's active, to automatically send the information you've added to all of your guides at once. It is what it says in the tin. So whatever changes I made in this welcome section here, the minute that I clicked save, that information has been updated to all of my guides instantly. So that's brilliant. However, if you wanted 1 or 2 of the guides to be different, then you can add what we call a customization. I'm not going to go into that too much now, but I just want you to be able to be aware that all you do is you go to that particular guide and you change the information for that particular guide, and it makes it different. So they don't all have to be the same. I want to very quickly just show you the process of adding a place on the map. So here Joe's got a bunch of restaurants that she's added, all of these ones here. If she wanted to add another one, she clicks the Add Topic button here. Instead of choosing her own topic where she could add the information manually, and it would be a bit like the screen I was on just now, so you put something about it, etc. We don't want to do that because we have the integration with Google Places. So I can click Google Place here. I can just start typing in the name of the restaurant, and can you see it says powered by Google here, and the results are showing on the screen. So if I wanted to say the Pizza Express in
Kendall.
Kendall, thank you. Kendall, like this. I just start typing. There it is, it's found it. I choose it. It puts a photo on there. By the way, if you don't like the photo that Google chooses, you can click Don't Show the Google photo, and you can add your own, or you don't have to add a photo. You can just have it as a directory listing. The only 2 things you have to do, in fact, the only one thing you have to do, sorry, is to choose the type of pin to put on the map. We don't have the same taxonomy as Google, so they may class this as something else. So we have about 100 different types of pins. So we've aggregated these into broad categories here. So I know that this is an eating and drinking, and then within eating and drinking, I've got all of these different types of pins. This one's a restaurant, so I choose restaurant. I hit save, and that will automatically do it for me. Puts a pin on the map, puts the Google listing inside my guide. Optionally, I could click next and say something about it. This is a great place for whatever. And type in whatever you want. And that's it. That adds the Google Place into the account. Right, now, I could talk all day long about this. There's so many things that TouchStay can do. Joe, is there anything you wanted me to highlight before we open up for questions?
I don't think so. No, I think I've yeah. No, I think I've said everything that I would say. I think I'm a bit like you when I go and stay in properties. I'm like, where's the guest information? And if people say, well, can you make sure you turn the heating down when you leave? It's like, okay, well, how do I do that? So this has just obviously got everything there for everybody. And yeah, we've had some really, really good feedback about it. And what amazed me is the amount of people. I think on one of the properties, like 300 and something people have viewed it, or it's had 300 and something views, which is just amazing. It shows that it really is reaching a lot of people.
Yeah, cool, excellent. What you have actually made me think. One thing I do want to do is to go to touchstay.com. Any of you can do this because it's on our website. On TouchStay, you can go and have a look at what some other guides look like. So we've just shown you Joe's, but if you wanted to see what are some other customers doing, if you go to demo, you can watch a demo, which is a little bit like what I've just shown you now. I'll give you a video overview. I think it's actually me maybe doing one of them. You can go to example guides, or you can go to our demo guide. I would go to example guides. Our demo guide is just a made up guide. It's got a lot of things in there that we want to highlight. But example guides, that gives you what others have done. So these are customers that have allowed us to share their guide. So all you do is click on any of these and it will load the guide. So for example, if I clicked on this one here, this is a customer in Asheville, North Carolina. Click on that, there's their guide. You can go and have a look at what Barbara and Jim have done in their guide. And the reason I've actually chosen this one is that they've used video, and I wanted to show you that. So here's an example of a video of how to use the front door keypad as a guest. I just press play and it's going to show me Jim telling me how to do the keypad. He's also done that in a kind of quite a fun and quirky way for things like how to use the hot tub. So if I do this, you'll see what I mean. So that's also quite an interesting way of showing your guests how to use more complicated things. So I just wanted to share that with you. So all you do is you head to our website, on the demo example guides, and you can scroll any number of these down the page. We haven't put a ton of them here, but we've given you some. And each of them does things in a different way. They have a certain specialism, so that's why you'll see the headings are all slightly different to try and give you a sense of what you might find in these guides. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now. There are a few more questions that have come in. And by the way, everyone, we're sort of stopped our bit now. So I know you've been asking questions as we've gone along, which is great. But if you want to ask any more, now's your time. Just pop them in that Q&A and we'll get to them. So Steve has said, can you copy and paste images from your current PDF into TouchStay? You can't copy and paste images. You have to add the image the way I showed you just now, pressing the image button and choosing the file from your hard drive. You can, by the way, copy and paste the text. So if you've got, I think Joe and I were talking about this earlier, if you've got content already in Word or PDF, then by all means, copy that text and paste it into TouchStay. One thing I would say, sometimes Word and PDF retain some formatting on some stuff. So when you paste it in, you might go, oh, that's not quite how I wanted it to be. But that's actually a good thing. Joe was saying earlier that it's allowed her to go and reorganize stuff inside TouchStay. So you can copy paste. Word missing in, oh, so here's a tip, Joe. There's apparently a word missing in the first line of your guide.
Thank you.
So I expect that's in that welcome part. So go and have a look. Next question, can we basically do a custom guide, but then tailor 1 or 2 pages for different properties? 100%, yes. That's the bit that I was maybe badly explaining, which is where you've got the same information that you want to be in all of them, and you choose the all guides button to make sure that all the information is in all of your guides. That's the starting point. But if you want, 1 or 2 of the guides to be different, you can tailor it. That's what you do, Joe, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, we've done that for quite a lot of things like the Wi-Fi, the heating instructions, the parking for each property is obviously different. So we've done different instructions for that. Some of the TVs are different. Our big house is different in what we provide inside to the cottages. So yeah, there's quite a lot of custom pages. But what I would say is I've kind of used the main content hub and then I've customized that slightly. So I've not made specific completely different pages. They've all kind of got the same format, but just it might be some information within that page that's different.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but you can actually create totally different pages for different properties
Yeah.
as well. Okay. I wanted to know, hang on, I've gone over a bit. How long did it take to convert from a PDF to TouchStay? So I'll answer that question because it depends. Everyone's different. It depends whether you have 100 pages or 5 pages. I'm not going to lie. It's not a 1 hour job. You're likely going to spend, if you've got a relatively clean Word document that's maybe got 15 pages, something like that, I'm confident it won't take you more than a few hours, half a day, to do that copy and paste exercise. If you've got really elaborate documents, it's going to maybe take you a little bit longer. That effort is brilliant in terms of payoff, though, because from then onwards, all you're doing is you're logging in like I've just done, and you're going to specific things and changing them, and you know that they're updated, both for those guests you've already sent it to, but then also future guests. So that is a good point. If someone is already using the guide, and then you change something, the next time they access that guide, they will see that updated content. So no more having to resend a PDF or go and print something out or anything like that. So a few hours. What I would say is if you've got multiple properties like Joe was describing, where you don't have that much that's different in all of them, then you've got a real big payoff because your second guide, your third guide, your fourth guide is you're not having to do all of those things that are the same, you're just tweaking it. So it's really a much less time after that. We do also have, by the way, 2 freelancers who aren't part of the TouchStay team. They're external contractors who, if you don't have the time, because I know a lot of you are busy, then you can utilize them to do it for you. They do charge for that, but that's an option too. But hopefully you've seen it. It's relatively straightforward. It's just a little bit of time you need to put to it. I wanted to know if we can use TouchStay for more than one company, i.e. we have 1 place with Sykes and 2 with Airbnb. 100%, you can, yeah. You're the one that's paying for this, so you can indeed do that. And the first one you've created, you can then create another 2 after that for your 2 Airbnbs. And yep, you can. Josie said, can I repeat the costs? Yes, £76 plus VAT annually for one property, or about £9.50 plus VAT a month if you wanted to pay monthly for one property. The second property is half the price, as is the third, fourth, and fifth. So your second, third, fourth, and fifth will all be half the price of that first one. There is a calculator on our website, by the way, touchday.com/pricing. But if you just go to touchday.com, pricing is at the top menu, and you can just punch in how many properties you've got, and it will tell you. By the way, if you've got a bed and breakfast or a campsite or a camping, you can use it for that too. Just throw that in there. Carol, this would go to the person who booked the property. Would they be able to share it with others in their booking? Yes, they would. And I'm going to very quickly share my screen again just to show you that, because it's dead easy. So on Joe's one here, there's a share button at the top here. So all I've got to do is click that share button and share it by email, message, WhatsApp, copy the link, etc. You'll also notice that on the where am I going? Let's move my chat out of the way. You'll also notice that there's little share icons here. So if I wanted to share specific parts with somebody I was coming with, I didn't want to share the entire guidebook. Let's say I wanted to show them, the packing section. Then I would just copy that particular one and send it to the person that's coming with me. So yes, you can share it. Ruth, I found TouchDay very addictive too. Thank you, Ruth. The user interface is very accessible. Thank you. Is there a way to send an HTML email with the TouchDay link? So yeah, if you use Memo, you will be able to create emails and texts, or you don't have to use text as well, to your guests. And yes, you can put colors in there, photos in there, your logo, and you can brand it. So yes, you can. Josie, can you add properties within the year as we're waiting on a planning decision? Yes, absolutely. What happens so if you start today and you pay £76 plus VAT for the year, and you decide 3 months later to add your second, what's going to happen? That second property is going to cost you half the price of the first, but only for 9 months, because you started it after 3 months. So 9 months charge, and then both properties will renew on the same renewal date. If I explain that badly, feel free to ask us on our support message when you're looking at that, Josie. Anna, does the fact that guests use this system mean they don't leave a Sykes review? No, they can absolutely. In fact, you can really encourage them. So you can create a section in the guide which encourages them to leave a Sykes review. Joe, what do you do about that?
I've not got onto that bit at the moment, but I remember when we originally set it up, you can have a page about the reviews. I think there is a section that was on your kind of basic setup that said something like farewell, and you can put in there asking them to make sure that they leave their review on Sykes, or the other booking channel, whoever it is. But yeah, we've not really updated from the basic at the moment, and we're still getting all our reviews on Sykes. But we need to kind of do that. I will probably, I think, do it as a jot form maybe, so that we get, if we've got owner bookings that we've taken, that we get that review that comes back to us, so that we can put that on our website directly. So, but yeah, you can just have a section at the bottom asking them to send it in still.
Yeah, excellent, Joe. Yeah, there is in the template. You're right. There's a when you start the free trial, we include in the template a section at the end which says "so long, farewell," gives the checkout instructions, but also an encouragement to leave a review. And this is, by the way, this is all complementary to Sykes. This is a bit of technology TouchDay that Sykes don't have, and they really like the idea of being able to offer it to you all. So there's no competitive element here. They're definitely trying to encourage use of that, and you can then ask the guest to leave a Sykes review for sure. Carol, can you take time and build the guide and then put it live at a later date? 100%. So it is technically live, but unless you've sent the link to anyone, they haven't got it. So you're in complete control of when you start sending that to your guests. So yes, you can start it and then send it out later. John has asked, how does this system interface with Sykes telling guests? I'm not entirely sure. I think, does that make any sense? How does this system interface?
Yeah, I think it's like the question before about would Sykes send this out for you effectively, and I don't know whether Sykes would send this out directly in their booking information. They might. They have included stuff in there for us before that we like in the travel directions and stuff, we've sent additional documents out in the past, which they've included. But yeah, ask the question. They are amenable to these things. But we send ours out directly at the moment via email, using that email from the portal that we get, just because we get obviously owner bookings as well, and then we know that we've sent them all out to everybody, and everybody's had the same.
Cool. Okay. I mean, I'd make an equivalent where we have some customers who use TouchStay, but they actually use an agency to run their business, and they do give the link to the agency, and the agency sends it out. So that's my kind of relative point. I do know that happens. Emma, what does the PDF look like that you can print off and go into the cottage? I.e., are there a lot of photos? Will you use a lot of ink, or can you make them simpler? I mean, what I will say is that for any of those guides, example guides that I showed you just now, there's a print button in the top menu. Go ahead and just press that print button. It just generates the PDF. It won't print it, and you can have a look for yourself. I will be very honest though, that the PDF side of this isn't the best. It can be a very, very, very long document, and you don't have a great deal of control over it. So the PDF is really, for me, being completely honest, and I tend to be very honest and transparent, it's a fallback really for those that kind of need it because they don't have the digital version. Rather than
I was just going to say, can I jump in there? Sorry, a bit quick. But one of the things that we've done is we've tried out, you can print the QR code, so you can download the QR code, can't you?
Yes.
And so we've had like a little poster made so that when guests come to the property, they can scan that with their phones, if they've not already accessed the guidebook before we've sent it out. So
I'm so happy you said that, Joe. Inevitably, I always miss stuff when I do this thing. Yes, the QR code, we all know what they are. So yeah, absolutely have those in your home. We've even got some templates on our help articles. When you get into TouchStay, you go to our help section, you type in QR templates. It'll give you some nice templates that are already there for you to use, and you just drop your QR code in there. But for every guide, you can press the generate a QR code button, and you can then use that QR code image wherever you like. Thank you, Joe. Okay, Julie, I have just created my free trial. Yay, thank you, Julie. I can see layouts and I've put my property details in. I don't appear to be able to create anything or add any info. Is this because I need to sign up first? No, it is all there. So Julie, what I would suggest, and anyone else who maybe runs into any problems, support@touchstay.com. They will get back to you very, very fast. We also have a Facebook group called the Rockstars, the TouchStay Rockstars, like my sweater here. So if you are a Facebook user, I would encourage you to go there, because I think we've got about now 3,000 or so people on there. And you can just go and post a question, and they're all customers, so you'll get an answer. So that's also a help source. Sorry, Julie, I can't answer that question live because I don't know exactly what's going on, but that's your way. Emma, is Memo free to use, or does it have a subscription? It is free. If you send visitors letters which are automated, can they be nevertheless personalized with their name? Absolutely, yes, 100%. You can do. There's a whole part of Memo that has all this dynamic content, which is where this comes in, which I'm not going to show you, but yes, it does. Anna, it's more they feel they have had plenty of communication, so they don't feel it necessary to leave a review. Oh, was this back in, was Anna the one that asked that question earlier? So Anna's the one that asks whether or not this system means they don't leave a review. And now she's basically saying, I was asking more because they've had so much communication, they don't feel it's necessary to leave a review. I'd say the reverse. I think the fact that they've probably felt a better experience with you might be more likely. In fact, you should then encourage them to leave a review. Maybe using Memo, for example, as sending them a text or an email towards the end of their stay. But I would say, Joe, I'm not asking you because we're at 12 o'clock and we need to kind of close this down. But John has said Joe is correct. It's what I meant. I can't remember what John had asked, but it was correct. Okay, lastly, Tony, are there any translation features for non-UK guests? Yes, there are. So we've got two ways to translate the content. One is you can turn on Google Translate. It's a machine translation, so it may not be always precise, but it's the fastest and it covers every single language out there. The guest then has a drop down to choose their language and it just Google translates it all. If you, probably very few of you will want this, but it more applies to our European customers where they might be based in France, for example, and then they have a lot of French guests and they want it to be precise, they can write their guide in French. And so you, in the text box that I showed you earlier, you can have an English version and a French version. You can have an English version, French, Spanish, German, Italian, whatever you want. And that allows you to put your own proper copy in there. Okay, that's it. And the questions have ended. Oh no, they haven't. Lizzie, is the memo functionality included or an additional cost? It's included. Good. Thank you, everyone. That was a lot of questions. I hope you found it really useful. If there is anything else that we haven't covered, obviously you've got the website to go to. I would strongly encourage you just to try a trial. You know, we don't ask for credit card details, so it's not my way of hooking you in. But go ahead and play around with that. You've got the example guide you can go and have a look at. You've got the Facebook group that I mentioned called the Touch Day Rockstars. Joe, anything that I've missed that you think we should mention?
No, I'd just say that it's really good value for money. Everybody's really supportive, really responsive and helpful. And it's given us some really great feedback, great communications with guests. And I'm hoping with the integration of more jot forms that it's going to keep growing and keep doing for us. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. And finally, thank you, Joe, for being so generous with your time. I really appreciate it. Hopefully it's given a little bit of extra, context than me coming here and talking. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. All right, everyone. I wish you all the best for the rest of your day and the rest of your week. And we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.